And welcome to Trinity Episcopal Cathedral of the Episcopal Diocese here in Nevada, here in Reno. We are grateful that you joined us today. This is a whole new program that I am beginning, hoping to do on every Thursday following our noonday healing Eucharist, as a way to keep greater contact with you folks, allowing you opportunity to ask questions that hopefully I can try to answer in some way or another. So this new program is a program that is asking you to write us questions. You can do this during this particular time. You can write questions. We highly encourage you to write them in advance. You can text them to me, email them to me if you care. The email is Father William, F.R. William, at trinityreno.org, and that way I'll have questions prepared in advance to respond to you. Since I did not get questions in advance to start this initial program off today, I think the biggest question that I am hearing from folks that I have been in contact with over the last several weeks is the question of when are we going to be able to be back to have corporate worship, to be in person, to be together as a worshiping community. And what may that look like? Now, there is a newsletter going out today, so you'll be receiving that shortly, and I did write an article dealing with that particular question. But what I want to say to you is already you know, before we had actually been asked to close our doors and not have large groups gathering for worship, we knew that there were already changes taking place. Those changes of the liturgy itself will always be consistent. It is what we pride on ourselves as Episcopalians with the Book of Common Prayer. That structure does not change. But how we do some of those rites and rituals and motions and activities will be changing. For instance, we know that before we were asked to close our doors, that we were not asked to pass the peace. That is a situation that will not change. What we are doing is we're learning to bow. As we say, the peace of the Lord be with you. We bow to one another in reverence of passing the peace in that way, since we are asked not to be having physical contact. Other items that will have to change is we know that the offering plate, for instance, a lot of hands are handling that offering plate as it's passed among the pews. That will have to stop. What we'll perhaps do, as we have done on occasion, is we do have a hymn that we sing at that particular time. The congregation will simply be asked to come forward down the center aisle. We'll have baskets up front, and people can place their offering that way. Again, so there is not a lot of physical contact taking place with objects. That will also be true for the Eucharist. Again, you know that we had some changes we had to make prior to closing up. That with the Eucharist, it's a matter of handling lots of vessels and handling the items that are the elements of the sacrament. You know, as we were doing before we did close, is we do have intinction sets where the two priests will serve. We'll be the only ones serving. We will carry a small tray that has a small chalice with the wine and a container with the wafer. And we will offer the wafer. You may commune by just the wafer. If you want it intincted or with wine, we will intinct it and place it onto your tongue. That will become the new standard until we know differently. We will not be coming back to worship very quickly. We know it will take time. Number one, we're waiting for our government, especially our state government, to give permission to do that. We know that that's probably going to take us till the end of May. And we'll see from there what will occur. We're also waiting for recommendations from the National Church as well as our bishop as to what will need to be done. When we come back to worship, will we have to have distancing? Will we have to sit in every other pew? Families can be together, but we may have to observe the 6-foot distancing. Again, until we have a way to treat the virus, until we actually have vaccines, this may become the new norm for us for a period of time. I do know that when we come back to worship, that we will be doing worship in the parish hall because very soon our renovation work will be starting. And so that will become the new background to record worship. But in addition, it will be our new setting until we have the renovation completed and are able to move into the church. One question here is, what services are we currently offering? As you know, we typically have a Thursday Eucharist, our healing Eucharist, at 12:10. And that is always done because people would come over from lunch. Well, we're not able to have people here, but we kept the time because we want to try to keep as much consistency and habits and behaviors that are familiar to us. The other services of Saturday night at 5 o'clock, the Sunday service of 7:45, 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock have all been combined into one service that we record on Saturday mornings so that you can either observe it live or you can observe it at your convenience. You can wait to 5 o'clock Saturday night if that's your time, or your family at 9 o'clock wants to worship together, you pull it up at 9 o'clock. Those services are streamed live, but are recorded so that you can go to them at your convenience whenever you are willing to do that. And they are on both Facebook and on YouTube that you reach by going into our website, clicking on the announcement area where it says online worship, and that will lead you to Facebook or YouTube. You click on that and then you will get the recording. And so we are very delighted of being able to provide that. We are grateful for the resources that have become available so that we can do this. It is certainly something we have never been trained to do. It seems very peculiar to worship in this manner, but we are grateful that these gifts are able to occur. I'm getting some comments about folks just saying hello and how much we are missed. We miss you folks a great deal. It is very difficult for those of us who are so people-oriented. I mean, I feed off of being around people, and to do a service with no one in the congregation, to have an empty office is most bizarre. It's very surreal, but we do the best with it. We are hopeful. We know this will not last forever, and we are grateful that we are able to have this time together. Someone has asked about confession. Do we do in-person confession? I certainly can. Even with pastoral visits, some situations it's very difficult, but we can arrange that by Zoom. We can arrange it with the phone, with FaceTime, or just converse over the phone. If we do a one-on-one meeting, it's just a matter of respecting the distancing. We are still able to use the chapels until the renovation begins. So there is opportunity for those who may have a need for personal confession or for personal counseling. But in those situations right now, I've done a few, and I've been able to do it through the technology, and it works well. And people have been very receptive to that. We're just thankful that we have means to do that. And even a telephone call can be an incredible, helpful thing for us to do. A program that I also want to mention that we're going to be starting next week, I am going to be recording for presentation on Tuesday and Thursday nights, Compline, the bedtime prayer. In the context of doing that evening bedtime prayer, I will have a guest. I will have individuals from the parish or from the community that will share doing the worship with me. But in addition, we'll do some interviewing during the service time to inform you, to update you on various things going on. In fact, next Tuesday, I will be interviewing Reverend Ruth, who actually begins her work with us starting tomorrow. So we'll have a bit of a conversation with her. On Thursday, I will interview our junior warden, Lynn Charlotte, as a way to talk a little bit about what progress is occurring in light of the renovation that will be beginning in several weeks, and some of the concerns that we are dealing with in preparation for that work to take place. Those will be recorded and will be set up for you to view at 7:30 p.m., which will be a great time for you with family or by yourself to go onto the computer and do Compline, do the bedtime prayer with us and have that opportunity. I am thrilled to be able to do this, again, as a way to try to be more connected with you during this time of isolation and social distancing. So we're looking forward to starting that program next week. Will there be a Bible study on Zoom? That is something we will explore, definitely. Ruth is coming on, as I said, Friday. We are meeting tomorrow. She's going to be spending some time with Michaela and with me, and part of it is to define her position, look at what responsibilities are there and what tasks we need to be dealing with right now. And I know I have put that thought out there. I think we will arrange to do something online on a weekly basis to do some Bible study. This is a very good time. A lot of people have time on their hands because they're not at work that would want to be able to do something like this. Plus, it's something that will feed our souls and feed our spirits. And so I think that's something we definitely will be exploring, and we'll let you know. It's a matter of knowing how to organize it. We clergy have never really been trained, at least those of us who are my generation, have been trained in a lot of technology. To learn to do a Word document and type a sermon had its own learning curve. To learn to do letters and pasting and copying and deleting, all of that we eventually learned by necessity. But a lot of this other technology is new to us, and right now it's necessity that is calling upon us to learn these things. And thank God I had a little tutorial session a few days ago to learn more about Zoom, and that is why I'm going to be able to do those programs with Tuesday night and Thursday night with Compline. So we're going to be learning more. We're doing our vestry meetings by Zoom. I know that the Wednesday morning prayer group is beginning to learn Zoom, and as they get comfortable with that, that will be opened up more to the parish. Daughters of the King are meeting by Zoom meeting. I think the men's organization, a lot of good men are also learning to use technology. So we're trying to find ways to reach out to you, but one of the most anxieties that we clergy have is we are having to learn technology. And I'm trying to wear my big boy pants and stand up to this and learn to do this. And I'm always willing to learn. So I just ask for forgiveness because I guarantee you it's like oil and water with me and technology, but I will do my best to be able to present to you. Some folks are asking about the staff because we know there have been some staff changes. I, as the rector and dean of the cathedral, it basically is referred to as the senior pastor, the boss man here. My associates, Reverend Michaela has been the canon for education. As you know, a few weeks ago, Reverend Rick retired. He was the canon for pastoral care and parish life, and Michaela the canon for education. With the changes coming, Ruth's new title is canon for parish life. She's not replacing Rick. Her definition of her work involves a great deal more. We are going to be developing some pastoral care programs. She and I will share pastoral work. She and I will share education work with adults and somewhat with children. It'll be a collaborative team, though her responsibility will be primarily the area of adult education and parish life activities. and the pastoral care stuff, it will be somewhat of a shared responsibility. We are also, as you know, anticipating the departure of Reverend Michaela. In fact, in 2 weeks, with evening compline, the nighttime prayer, I'll be interviewing Michaela as she shares with us what will be happening with her. It's still up in the air whether or not Camp Galilee is going to be occurring this summer. We don't know how soon she will be running up to be with Charlie, as her husband took a new call starting April 1st up in Montana. As you know, she's anxious to be with him and begin their life together there. So there's a lot of unknowns in her life right now, and we hope by the end of May that she'll have a better sense of her direction. Outside of that, our administrator, Carla, still is working from home. Carmen is continuing to clean and do things. The Sack Lunch program is very active. We got them moved upstairs, and they're able to work better with distancing and doing the things required of them to be able to be safe in serving. That has been a ministry that we decided we could not stop. These are the most vulnerable people in our community, and so we needed to keep up serving them, and of course there has been an increase of demand. The challenge we've had is we've not always been able to get the canned protein that we put into the Sack Lunch. We basically purchase Vienna sausage, but the stores do not allow you to buy bulk, and so we've had to have various parishioners running in and out of Costco or Save Mart, wherever they can, to find cases, small cases of Vienna sausage. So we have those for the Sack Lunch program. So there's a lot that's happening. We are trying the best we can to continue some sense of normalcy by having things that are familiar and trying ways to present these things. Again, it's so good to have folks commenting on how much they miss worship, how much they miss the fellowship. I can't say enough about that myself. It is different doing worship this way. But I know what we're supplying and what is important is for us to be able to have words of comfort, to have things that look familiar, to have words, to have actions presented to you, even though it's in the comfort of your own home, but things that are familiar so that you do have a sense that everything is okay, and that we are together in this, that you are not alone, that you are not singled out. We realize that with situations like this, fighting depression, we're finding that within families there is a higher level of spousal abuse, child abuse happening, alcoholism increasing. A lot of the bad things that occur in families are surfacing, and it's understandable because these are difficult times and people are desperate and are reaching out, perhaps not in the most positive ways to address their needs. But do know and do reach out to us if you have a particular need or concern. We are here for you. We want to do as much as we can for you. You can call the office. The office number is forwarded to Carla so that she can get messages to any of us. We will get back to you in a most timely manner. So we are grateful that we are able in these days to find these new creative ways to reach out, to continue to be the church, to continue to be the people of God during these difficult times. So thank you for those opportunities. Someone is asking about status of weddings and funerals, and we have a wedding actually scheduled for the end of the month, and I'm not sure what's going to be happening. Because we knew we would be involved in a renovation, we actually received permission to do the wedding over at the Roman Catholic Cathedral. However, we're waiting for guidelines, and we won't know till the midst of March as to what size of a crowd can come into a space, what distancing. I do know that the Catholic Cathedral does have a wedding scheduled for May 15th, which they're going ahead with. The wedding has been cut down to 15 people, and they're going to be observing the distancing, to some degree wearing masks, so that wedding is still going forward. We just have to be creative and deal with it the best we can to be able to serve the need. I'm aware of a very close priest friend who just recently did a marriage blessing of 50 years, renewal of vows, and he did it from his car. They came out on their front lawn. He did it from their car. He has a convertible, so he's able to stand up in his car, and was able to do the ceremony of renewal of baptismal vows in that particular way. As far as with funerals, that is a very difficult situation at this point. Funerals are not happening. What we are doing is we have to wait till funeral homes are able to open, to sometime when gatherings are being permitted. It may be small groups at the time. It may be just doing a graveside. We can certainly still do memorials. But once we have rules and procedures and the permission to do in-person worship, we'll be able to do those opportunities. I do have 2 or 3 situations on the back burner right now that we're waiting to do those memorial services, to gather to pay our respects to our loved ones once the coronavirus is not as threatening to our gathering, and we are able to do worship and to celebrate the lives of our family and loved ones. Okay. I am not seeing any other new questions at this particular time. So again, I just want to remind you, and we probably are going to shift this to 1 o'clock to 1:30. We found that we allowed too much time. We weren't sure how much time it would take for us to set up today. I will advertise that in advance that we'll do this Thursday, question and answer, time together from 1 to 1:30. And starting next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., you will be able to go through the church website, through either Facebook or YouTube, and have a Compline service that I will lead with a guest, as we also have an opportunity to interview our guest. And I'm excited about those opportunities and grateful for your input. So if you do have questions and concerns, please send those forth during the week, and so we can gather those up and continue doing this next week. So blessings to all of you. Thank you for joining us today. Be safe and know that we love you, and blessed Eastertide to each and every one of you. God bless and goodbye. Thank you.